Judy's just said I've got my t-shirt hanging out at the back. That's not going to affect any of you guys, is it? Could you do that again a little slower? Thanks. Thanks for coming along. We don't promise quality. You seem a little bit far away, so would you give us a little wave? Lovely, isn't it? I mean, as you walked into the tent tonight, guys, one word popped into my head, and it just will not leave. That word is medication. There laughs a woman with her husband's statins in her handbag, you know. I hope you can hear us all right. This is the lovely Julia Ann Porter. Give her a little cheer. She's...
Hi, everyone. Just tuning down. Sounds about the same.
Anybody old enough to remember Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan? Anybody old enough to remember, what's the other one? Eve of Destruction by Barry Maguire. Why am I not surprised? What about Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for turning out tonight. I know you're going to have a great night, but this song is loosely about none of those songs whatsoever. You do know that this is a benefit gig for you. I was just 9 years old when I heard Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. I didn't quite catch all the words, but you know I was amused by the language that he used, and it's still the greatest song I've ever heard. And I can't pretend that I understood it all when I sat on that cold kitchen floor. But I've been singing that song for 53 years. I'm gonna sing it for 53 more. 'Cause it didn't start over there, it didn't start over here, and it's not another song about a whiskey or beer. And it won't start when you slip your car into gear. Do you like a chorus? 'Cause it's here. Inside you and me. We always have to practice it. Take a deep breath. For some of you, it might be the only exercise you've had all day. Here we go. The word is here. It's here. Inside you and me. You have surpassed all expectations. I first heard Eve of Destruction. It was on my daddy's cheap car radio. You know that man, he walked out the very next morning and he brought me that great record home. I was coagulating, I was disintegrating. How come this whole crazy world is still so frustrating? But I've been singing that song for 53 years, and I'm gonna sing it for 53 more. It didn't start over there, it didn't start over here, and it's not another song about it. So you know it. And it won't start when you slip your car into gear, 'cause it's here. Inside you and me. I've got a birthday coming up. My boys never come to any of the shows, but I know what they've got me. They bought me psychiatrist vouchers. I'm very disappointed, darling. I wanted a crossbow. You know, I first heard Alice's Restaurant. I was stroking a very pretty girl's hair. Both her parents were out, and I had absolutely no doubt that Alice was gonna take me somewhere. 'Cause I'd heard about Stockbridge, Massachusetts, on a James Taylor song I just adored. And I've been trying to learn that bloody song for 53 years. It's gonna take me at least 53 more. 'Cause it didn't start over there, it didn't start. And it's not another song about ooh, and it won't start when you slip your car into gear. 'Cause it's here. Hold it. Inside you and me. You look very nice tonight, Tom. Thanks for making an effort. The last show we did before, there was I never send any CDs to be reviewed, or I don't really like anybody saying anything about the show in case Julia hasn't played particularly well. But you be the judge. It was a folk magazine, and they said, Anthony John Clarke on stage with Julia Ann Porter is reminiscent of an Enid Blyton novel without the sex. Well, we'd heard about Liverpool back in 1974. We moved there 1 year later. We've got our own Fab Four. 4 boys who work 8 days a week to survive. They all keep their nerve, but not a single one of them managed to keep their wives.
Sadly, that's true.
But if I needed someone, I'd say, here comes the sun. And when I was 64, I'd been singing that song for 53 years, and I'm gonna sing it for 53 more. Why? 'Cause it didn't start over there, it didn't start over here, and it's not another song about whiskey or beer. And it won't start when you slip your car into gear, 'cause it's here. Inside you and me. I do that because my dad supported Manchester City. One more time now and it's here. Inside you and me. Oh, we thank you. Thanks for any of you come this afternoon. Thanks for coming back. All my relatives over this side. Yeah. We have a different show for you tonight. I hope you enjoy it. It's better than the one this afternoon. This is a little song. Do you feel like singing? Because I don't think there's enough singing goes on. Singing changes the world. Changed your world, didn't it? He's not speaking to me. Okay. This little song called The Only Life Gloria Knows. And we had a couple of people who asked us for it. The world's a rubbish place, isn't it? And Gloria was real. I was doing a workshop near Divis Flats, which is at the bottom of the Falls Road, many, many years ago. And this young girl came in, bouncing with enthusiasm for everything that was going on. And I only discovered later on that she was actually homeless and living in Belfast, which it's my hometown, but between you and me, if I was going to be homeless, perhaps Belfast might not have been my first port of call at that time. But she maintained a wonderful, positive attitude towards everything that she did. And she came to a gig a few years later, and I played the song, and she knew about the song. And I went down to see her at the end of the gig, and she'd gone. And I didn't see her again for 2 years when I was playing exactly the same place. So I finished a little bit early, and I went down, and I said, the last time I played, I went to say hello to you, and you'd gone. And the world's real, isn't it? She didn't have any fancy Dan explanation. She said, "Oh, sorry, Anthony John, I had a bus to catch," which I thought was rather lovely. The chorus is really simple. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. And teach it to the person sitting beside you.
And she's doing all right now. That's why she had a bus to catch. That was good.
Julie's got loads of tattoos. Coming from Margate, they're all spelt properly as well, which really surprised me. Yeah. The smoke on the street from the hamburger stand is hurting her nose and her eyes. Each doorway's a bedroom for Gloria now, and it's there that one day she may die. She sells the papers, but that ain't enough. She sleeps every night in her clothes. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. Drink and she'll dance for the men on her own, or she'll go for a ride in their car. And the seat's nice and warm when you've stood for so long, and those men ain't so bad before dark, ha. But they never pay much, and their touch is so rough, and they say she's got no life in her soul. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. The days on the street wear the shoes from her feet, and the wind puts a knife in her arm. She grabs at his throat. She refuses a coat from a young man who means her no harm. She'll often chat if the kids will chat back, but most of her time she's alone. If you can. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. She misses her brother, she can't speak to her mother, since her own father told her to go. Evening is falling, and yes, she thinks about calling, but there's something inside her says no. She spends her loose change on a bottle again, and she drinks it all down in one go. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. Will you try one? Gloria. 'Cause there's trouble in life between a husband and wife, and the bad days, they can bring you right down. But be sure that you know where those little ones go, and always have enough love to go round. 'Cause Gloria sleeps in a doorway, and the wind bites her fingers and toes. There's three. Gloria's out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. Yours? Ours. Glory is out on the street tonight. It's the only life Gloria knows. Thanks very, very much for singing now. It was lovely.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Lovely. Wow. Oh, good old days. Have you been to like festivals and folk clubs and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff about nostalgia, yeah? And people writing about what they did when they were kids. I have very few memories of when I was a small child. I have one where I went to St. Patrick's Primary School in Hollywood, County Down, Northern Ireland, no postcode. And we used to have this game called Forward, Backward, Sideways. We stopped the game after a while and started playing being members of the Monkees. And the teachers were really delighted because Forward, Backward, Sideways, ladies and gentlemen, was a game where you used to hit a kid in the yard on the head with a brick, and the rest of us used to have to guess what way he fell. And that was before the troubles started. Yeah. So anyway, this is our curtsy to nostalgia. And if you recognize anything in the song, that if it resonates with you or you have a similar memory, don't shout out and go, "Hey Jay, I did that." All I'd like you to do is just turn to the person beside you and go, okay? I said this afternoon I'm a Libran, so we have to practice it. So 1, 2, 3. Just a bit more enthusiastic, perhaps. 1, 2, 3. That's just a little bit over the edge now, but we'll get there, okay? All right, it's good. Very nostalgic person, aren't you? I said to my oldest son, "What are you going to tell your kids about how hard your life is?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you've always had a house. You've always had a few bob in your pocket. Your mum and dad loved you. You've never really had any problems." He said, "Oh, here you go." He said, "I've got it all worked out, Dad." He said, "If any of my kids mess around, I'm just going to point at them, stare them straight in the eye and said, 'You've got it lucky.'" He said, "When I was your age, we only had 4 remotes for the television." Wagon wheels and Tonka trucks, ice cream, sodas, 7-Ups. Preston, they lost the FA Cup, and all the goals were on the news. Cheesecloth shirts and jangly things, all those Eurovision Song Contest wins. Coming from Ireland, we know a little bit about those. All kinds of everything, and lonely Major Tom. Doctor Who met Desperate Dan, 400cc Red Diane. Hey, what on earth is a non-stick pan? Easter weekend caravan. Our only phone was in the hall, and the supermarkets still were small. Rope, sandals and patchouli, trying to kiss a girl called Julie. You have to get in every song, don't you? Dave D. Dozy, peekaboo, baggy trousers, platform shoes, that midi skirt below your knees. All my progressive rock LPs. Were those my good old days? Am I getting to a point in my life when I can safely say they don't write them like that anymore? You may have noticed choreography sneaking into the set. It's my Shrewsbury wiggle. Dusty Springfield and Green Shield stamps. The kitchen wall was always down. those desks with inkwells and writer's crown, drinking beer at summer camp. Wait for this one. Bonanza, ask the family, the Victor Beano and the Dandy, Hornby trains and action men, the Beatles #1 again. Benny Hill, the football fixtures, bangles, spangles, black sports mixtures, muddy pitches, all that clumsy tackling. Ilya Kuryakin, Neil Armstrong, James Bond movies, those words, fab and groovy. Reading my first Orwell story, Bobby Moore in all his glory. But I'm such a tart. We play in Scotland, Archie Gemmill in all his glory. We play in Belfast, Danny Blanchflower and George Best in all their glory. And it's with the greatest of an apology, ladies and gentlemen, Wales, I couldn't think of anybody. Were those my good old days, and I'm getting to a point in my life when I can safely say they don't write them like that anymore. Welcome. Must have been something on the telly. A rerun of Bonanza. But nowadays, you know, I can't leave home without an iMail, an ePod, a mobile phone. Medication, my reading glasses. Julie's the oldest at her yoga classes. City centre, late night screeching, hair extensions, eyebrow bleaching. Paperwork stopped teachers teaching. Empty pews stopped preachers preaching. We wrecked our teeth with that homemade toffee. In those days, my grandmother just believed that camp meant coffee. Coal tar soap, absolutely no lather. And Donald Trump is Jedward's father. Were those my good old days? Am I getting to a point in my life when I can safely say they don't write them like that anymore? Try that chorus, ladies and gentlemen. Were those my good old days? Am I getting to a point in my life when I can safely say they don't write? I'm so moved. I was chatting in the car about this song a couple of weeks ago, and Julie said, "You know that good old days song of yours?" I said, "I don't like it." I said, "Thanks very much." I said, "What don't you like about it?" "Well, it's just one thing I don't like about it." She said, "The words." So these are Julie's. Mike and Bernie, Brian Ricks, Roy Plumley's Desert Island Discs, Donovan in Mellow Yellow, Prince Charles trying to learn the cello, Peter Purvis and his Blue Peter tortoise. That day her mum and dad burst in and caught us. Were those my good old days? Am I getting to a point in my life when I can safely say, what? They don't write them. But they don't write them like that anymore, do they? We love you. Thank you.
Nice singing. I heard about Anthony doing his Shrewsbury wiggle. Have you noticed that he's lost a bit of weight recently? And he's taken up jogging, which I thought was great. And I said, "Oh, that's good for your health." And he said, "No, I've taken it up because I want to meet more new people." And he does. Paramedics, but he meets them. It's nice.
Excuse me. Ha 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 ha. I'm from nobody jogs in Northern Ireland. Nobody does. If somebody's running in Belfast, there's somebody chasing after them, isn't it? You know. Here's a song about bullying. And I want to dedicate it to Rob and Marion Perry over there, not because they're associated with bullying, but they were in the audience the first time we ever took this out. I was a teacher for many years, and we went to a reunion. I was the only teacher who turned up, and I was a bit ashamed of my former colleagues and phoned several of them and reprimanded them. There was a lovely girl there, Amy, and her friends, and they said, "You do that singer-songwriter thing now, don't you?" And I said, "Well, thank you for following my career so carefully." And they said, "Why don't you write a song about bullying?" And then they followed it with one of the nicest things that's ever been said to me. They said, "We used to come down to your classroom at lunchtime and breaks because we felt safe." And I said, "Thank you very much for telling me that, because I didn't know that." And they said, "Well, there's just one thing. Would you be interested in writing the song about bullying?" I said, "I'll have a go, but it could be controversial and it could hurt people and it could maybe annoy a bully or it could affect somebody who'd been bullied." So I didn't think any more of it until later on that evening when she was getting into her car. She's now a solicitor, and she was just starting the car up. She opens the door, she walks back, and she goes, I wound the window down, and she said, "If you do that song about bullying, Anthony," said, "I don't want any corny redemption for the bully at the end." I said, "I want the bully to die." And I said, "Well, Amy, why didn't you just say that in the first place? You're bang on my territory there." So it's a little song called Banksy, and it's dedicated to anybody who has any experience of this. If you want, just think about maybe somebody who used to pick on you for no reason. And especially at the very end, imagine him or her then. You see, my life was never anything but happy, till Banksy walked in through the classroom door. At least 1 year older, nasty chips on both his shoulders. He grabbed my homework folder and he kicked it across the floor. From that day on he used us all as punch bags, and me and all my mates were black and blue. He'd choke you with your tie, find some kid and make him cry. He poked me in the eye, I wanted him to die. The teachers were afraid of him as well, ever since he told Miss Norris, "Go to hell." That Friday afternoon he nicked the old school bell. We had to stand in line till nearly 4:30. There's always a chorus. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. But he did it till the day he died. Come with me. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. But he did it till the day he died. Now one day me and Molly, we was chatting, two of us, when Banksy came from nowhere, banged our heads. He nicked my comic, ripped my coat, grabbed us both tight by the throat, and warned us if we grassed him up by Monday we'd be dead. You see, he put the V in violence and he put the M in me. He worshipped Jimmy Savile, but he couldn't stand the Queen. He used the F word and the B word, called the plump kids fat. Molly Murphy swore she'd seen him kill a cat. The reason I dedicated this to Marion and Rob is that when I played this in Scotland, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like this. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. But he did it till the day he died. I'd love to hear you do that. Scottish accent. You got it? 2, 3. It was... He did it till the day he died. Needs a bit of work, but that was pretty good. Now maybe Banksy was the product of a broken home, but I never heard him once say anything kind. The only tune I ever heard him whistle was Elvis Presley's song Suspicious Minds. And Banksy never once put his hand up in the class. Unless the joke was Banksy's, Banksy never laughed. He hated history and geography, he hated maths. Basketball and football, Banksy never passed. But he swore, he bit, you checked your coat for spit. Molly Murphy described him well, an Oscar-winning shit. The angry swagger, the shoulder in his walk, the nasty confidence, the filthy talk. We're still in Scotland, one more time. He was right to the back. Woo! It wasn't even me, I didn't do it, but he did it till the day he died. But you see, things go round, and round go things. Tragic incident at local gym. It wasn't in the paper, but Molly heard from her best friend Kim that Banksy had had a go at someone even nastier than him. Feel free to cheer the next line, even though it's a macabre and rather miserable thing to do. Me and Molly went to Banksy's funeral. God, you're shallow. It was a sad and very grey affair. We waited an eternity for his friends to show, but there was only 6 or 7 of us there. And Banksy's worn-out stepmom, she thanked us both for coming. We both threw tenors in the Marie Curie home. But all that me and Molly could think about that day were the words that should have been written there on Banksy's stone. Da, 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 da. Shout a country. German accent. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It wasn't me. I did not do it. Very good.
We'd like to thank you very much for listening to this pseudo-controversial song. And you down the front, you should be ashamed of yourself. Let's take us out on one, whatever voice you want. Because hopefully bullying is on its way out, now that Julia's here. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. It wasn't even me, I didn't do it. But he did it till the day, he did it till the day, he did it till the day he died. I thank you. Hey, Tar. Thanks ever so much. I'd like to do a song by one of Julie's songs now. We went to Holland on a little tour. Not fancy, not theatres. It's like house concerts and like small clubs and stuff. We don't really do tours. We still sign on, but don't tell anybody. Right? And we went to Oosterbeek, and because we had the boys, we were on a little cycling thing. And this is a complete change of mood, but I wanted to do it here so that people could hear it. It's been actually, what's the word? It's been acknowledged by the War Graves Commission. And I say, well done to you for that, girl.
Thank you.
And it's just different. It's about Operation Market Garden. Whether you're a fan of the British Army or whether you think Field Marshal Montgomery was a hero or made mistakes, it's really got nothing to do with the song. It's to do with the fact that we looked at endless lines of Portland stone, and I was fascinated by the number of different names all the way along it. And Julie went off, came back about 2 days later talking to me, and she wrote this, and I really like it, and I hope you enjoy it. And there's no chorus. Have a chorus off. There's one after this, though.
Take a break.
An Ulster footnote to this is, because my mother was a Catholic and my father was a Protestant, my mother, for some reason, did not allow us to wear the poppy because she associated it with the British Army. Time was I would not wear the poppy. It belonged upon my parents' Sunday best. I had no time for remembrance or nostalgia. I found it easier to forget. As a young boy, I'd not watch the old man marching. I'd not ask about the medals on his chest. But that afternoon in August, when you drove me out to Arnhem, I saw Portland's stone and heroes at its very, very best. Time was, I'd say, Vera Lynn, old-fashioned. And her music, it means nothing to me now. And things were pretty good for me in the 50s and in the 60s. We lived a good life with no when, who, where, or how. Mum threw away our ration books, and the Russians gave us dirty looks, and Kennedy put Castro to the test. But that afternoon in August, when you drove me out to Arnhem, I saw Portland's stone and hero at its very, very best. Time was I'd not listen to a brass band play. That Sunday each November just came and went. If a Lancaster flew over, or I heard White Cliffs of Dover, chances are I wouldn't even turn my head. And old Charlie, he knows nothing. He's always moaning about something. And I said he looked ridiculous in his tired old army vest. But that afternoon in August, when you drove me out to Arnhem, I saw Portland's stone and hero at its very, very best. There was Boland, Duncan, Leach, and Coke and Hartley, Garibaldi, Doubleday, and Carney. There was Gibb, Moon, Crawford, Henry Frost. Among the hundreds who were lost, there was one young boy, not even in the army. There was Pascal, Plowman, Bryson, Webster, Mettler, Clifford, Francis, Hogg, Dodley, and Pepperell, Findlay, Skelton, Goodhart's son, a Polish boy just 21. He was an innocent young mother's son, but now that boy is gone. And I may not have permission, boys, to use your names this way, but I wrote them from the Portland stone and cried for you that day, which might seem a little foolish for a man then 62, but the reason for the tears, we have sons the age of you, and the pure white Portland stone just seems to grow there. Maybe one day you might take some time and go there. On a rainy day, please lay one sad red rose there. For as a young boy, I just would not wear the poppy. I'd not ask about the medal on his chest. But that afternoon in August, when you drove me out to Arnhem, I saw Portland stone and hero at its very, very best. That afternoon in August, when you drove me out to Arnhem, I saw Portland stone and hero at its very, very best. Song by Julia Porter. Oh, thank you. Nice, nice. Who's been to more than 100 folk festivals?
Ooh.
50? One? Hey, we're on. We've studied folk festivals over the year. Certain things, you can't buy drugs that easily, can you? Unless it's sort of in the medication area. So we came up with this little idea, and we hope you like it. I've always had a bit of a thing, as have many men my age in the audience, I would suggest. I've always had a bit of a thing about Julie Andrews. No, but I'm serious. And Julie has this sort of personality trait that she can't watch a film all the way through, or like a movie. You go to the cinema, waste of time. She's asleep in 20 minutes. Even an episode of Coronation Street or EastEnders, she nods off. So she's the only woman to this date who still doesn't know what happened to Maria when she left the convent in The Sound of Music. And my mate Frank said, why don't you put The Sound of Music on, and when Julie falls asleep, stick another movie in with Julie Andrews in it?
Which he has plenty.
Yeah, we did. I have the box set, right? So she fell asleep about 35 minutes into it. I took the DVD out and I put in Thoroughly Modern Millie. And the result was amazing. And you have to just excuse me on this, but this is exactly what happened. Julie woke up and pretended that she'd been awake for the whole movie.
Like you do.
And I said, well, what do you think of the film? She said, oh, God, Maria turned into a right slapper when she left the convent, didn't she? But you'll know the tune, and you can do whatever you want to it. Are you having a nice time tonight? Well, I'm glad you guys are. Nice, okay, good. It goes like this. Julie, will you play the little intro so everybody knows? Right, so. So you know that tune, don't you? Yeah? Well, this is our attempt, ladies and gentlemen, to bring things into a sense of reality. Beer cans and bodhrans, tin whistles and mandos. Morris meant pacemakers, old blokes with banjos. Taylors and Martins with 12-year-old strings. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Two hurdy-gurdies, one rusty bouzouki. Lyres and lutes made by Guild and Suzuki. Don't buy me that t-shirt, I'm fat, it will cling. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Half-finished songs that young girl can't remember. Tuts from her parents who just like John Denver. Those ukuleles that everyone brings. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Deck chairs with arms on to keep your warm beer in. CD collections, McTell and John Tamsin. Poetry workshops that don't mean a thing. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Who buys a burger if there's no meat in it? Ballads by Clannad that last 15 minutes. Coughing fits her who knits cell phones that ping. Some of my favorite folk festival things. If your wife's drunk, if the band's late, Morag's flageolet. That seat may be gone, but that's my cajon, and the lost notes ain't been on yet. Hey cousin Jack, someone's singing that song again. Mary's arrived and she's wearing that thong again. She never signed up, so how come she sings some of my favorite folk festival things? T-shirts and hats with old codgers' bands' names on. Legs in the front row with varicose veins on. Anthony John Bloody Clarke insisting you sing. Enjoy your first and your last vegan curry. Just scrape the mold off, there's no need to worry. We had one last summer, we recovered by spring. Some of our favorite folk festival things. And remember, there's one thing you dare not ever mention. Never say Steel Ice Plant Safe Airport Convention. And thank you for listening to this, cause it means everything. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Okay, you've been very patient. You can do The Sound of Music now. Raindrops and roses. Brown paper packages tied up with string. Some of my favorite folk festival things. Oh yeah. We got two more numbers for you. We're going to finish dead on time. The wind, it blew cold on the west coast of Ireland. Rita wouldn't go into the water. Picture the sane mothers, fathers, ice creams, huddled round their little sons and daughters. Well, the rain, it cut right through me. It kept on pouring down. I found a little hotel bar on the harbour side of town. I said I'll pay for nothing since the tourist is in town. But Tuesday night is always karaoke. Tuesday night is always karaoke. There's only karaoke up on Enniscrone. The whistles and the fiddles and the bow on Stay at Home. I never heard a single mandolin or an accordion drone. Cause Tuesday night is always karaoke. What night was that? Was it Friday afternoon? Oasis all the rage. Young Dan from Cork climbed up on stage. He could hardly hold his mic for all that brandy. He introed far too late and poor old Sally had to wait, and Rita hollered that some words might come in handy. Fathers pushing mothers up against the microphone. Sisters goading brothers, won't you leave the lad alone? And a priest from Knockaraha shook his head and headed home. Cause Tuesday night is always karaoke. What day? A little louder now. Hectic and electric have said no cause he's dyslexic. Gowie, Sligo, Susan Vega sang Marlena. A coach load up from Galway clapped their tour guide singing My Way. We all did the stupid dance in Macarena. Then a priest appeared from nowhere with those bloody fields of Athenry. And a Welshman murdered Vincent, an American pie. And a fight broke out when someone said your levee must be dry. But no one really cares, it's karaoke. No one really cares, it's karaoke. And a whisper now. A little sexier now. Didn't do it for me, Julie. How'd you feel? We'd like to dedicate this song to the woman who has given me the most pleasure and satisfaction in bed for the last 50 years, ladies and gentlemen. Agatha Christie. Get thee to a nunnery, cried Father Michael Tunnery. Your behaviour here tonight is sacrilegious. Sister Mary Joseph took the floor, and as her crowd all called for more, her Barry Manilow covers were contagious. So we opened up our cigarette lighters and we waved them in the air. She got up on stage to strut her London derriere. She tore her habit, there's her underwear. Singing nuns, scurry on the telly.
Big look thin.
We're available for interviews. What night was that? That's not loud enough. A little further down the room. As if it's your favorite song. As if it's Hey Jude. And there were fiddlers from Rostrevor. They drank so much they stayed forever. And Sister Mary Joseph, she just stood there screaming. She lifted up her skirt, she grabbed the nearest priest, she began to flirt, and the tour guide said, Anthony John Clarke and Julianne Porter, am I dreaming? Then the police arrived in wagons like some extras from that old film, The Sting. Have we done that one? And they called for reinforcements as all their mobile phones did ring. And they shouted at her, hey, Sister Mary Joseph Ferguson, do you know what time it is? She said, feck, I don't. But if you hum a little bit of it, I'll sing it for you, sister. Just the boys. Tuesday night is always karaoke. Just the boys? Just the girls? Excuse me, girls, 1 minute. Boys, you hear the girls? That's called making an effort. And one more time. Tuesday night is always karaoke. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now is we're going to pretend to go off, but you're going to give us an encore, right? Because if you don't, I mightn't get the gig next time. So one big one, so all the organizers hear it. Tuesday night is always karaoke. See that? God, I'm cheap. The world's a mess, yeah? The world's a mess. It's in our hands. It's in our hands. Julie does an awful lot of work. This is a song which we'd just like to finish with tonight, and we'd love it if you joined us. And we've got our mates, the Lost Notes. Yay! This. I'll say this unapologetically. If these guys aren't headlining festivals all over the country in the next 2 years, it's your fault. This is a conversation between myself and our Iranian neighbor, Hassan, qualified doctor, 3 children, relocated from the Ukraine. He had a good life. And his house now lies in rubble. 3 displaced children, a beautiful wife who's also a classical pianist, and they're really struggling. This is the tenet of the conversation. He said this: I would not hurt your family. I never hijacked any plane. I worked so hard, I learned your language. You and me, my friend, we're just the same. I would not hurt your family. If you can, never hijack. I never hijacked any plane. I worked hard and learned your language. I worked hard, I learned your language. And let's face it, you and me, my friend, are just the same. I want a comfortable house every morning. I just want a clean bed at night. I want a safe school for my 3 children. Perhaps just a cup of coffee with my wife. I had to keep my head warm, and a kitchen cupboard that ain't bare. Healthy food upon my table, but most of all, I just want to know that there's someone there. I would not hurt your family. Come with us.
I would not hurt your family.
I never hijacked any plane.
I never hijacked any plane.
I worked hard and I learned your language.
I learned your language.
You and me, my friend, we are just the same. I miss my old house cat that used to keep me company. I want my girls for once to have new clothes. I'd love a message from my 2 younger sisters, 'cause where they are, God only knows. I want a job that feeds my family. I do not want a single thing for free. And though I thank you for your kindness, I was not born a refugee. Please join us on the chorus, guys. I would not hurt your family. I never hijacked. I never hijacked any plane.
I never hijacked any plane.
I worked hard and I learned your language.
I learned your language.
You and me, my friend, we're just the same. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for listening to us. Just before we go, if it's in your heart, would you sing this song with us? I would not hurt your family. 10 times louder than the people in the next county. I would not hurt your family. Thank you. I never hijacked. I never hijacked any plane.
I never hijacked any plane.
I worked so hard to learn your language.
I learned your language.
You and me, my friend, are just the same. Say thanks from us for the Lost Notes, ladies and gentlemen, for coming up with such short notice to do this. So thank you very much. I would not hurt your family. I never hijacked any plane. I never hijacked any plane.
I never hijacked any plane.
I worked hard. I learned your language.
I learned your language.
You and me, my friend, we are just the same. We've got a minute and a half left. If you agree with the sentiment of this song, ladies and gentlemen, if you can, would you stand up and sing it with us, ladies and gentlemen? Would you do that? I would not hurt your family. Thank you very, very much.
I would not hurt your family.
I never hijacked any plane.
I never hijacked any plane.
I worked hard. I learned your language.
I learned your language.
'Cause you and me, my friend, are just the same. You and me, we're just the same. If you're American, don't vote for Trump.
Mr. Anthony John Clarke and Julia!
Thanks for doing that. It was really important. Julia and Porter, ladies and gentlemen, and this young up-and-coming band, the Lost Notes.